So we came to some buy side up here. We hit basically 2K on the session, coming up to all-time highs. And now we're kind of sputtering just prior to reaching the 500s on NQ. Are we going to go back into some of these volume imbalances for a little bit of a pick-me-up to hit 500 or not? Getting fatigued off of 7 time frames, which is why we're getting the nukes on our indicator here. And this is about how far above? 72 points above the previous high. So we're about 72 points above the previous high. It's taken a few days to get up to this region. We've kind of been sputtering in this entire range, trying to sweep these previous relatively equal highs from December and February. So we've clearly swept them and swept them to the tune of 72 points above the previous high. Are we going to put a burst up into some higher highs for good, or are we going to pull back and test the 22,247 for support from February's zone? We prematurely rejected that on Monday, was it, of last week? Nothing up here. And yeah, we'll just chillax for a little bit. $500 has about 40 contracts to get swept up there, resting orders. Next target's at 525, and so on.
Let's go, bub.
Ready.
Tornado claw. Let's go, bub. Ready. Fight! Tornado Cloud. Aerial ready. Let's go.
Boop, 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 boop.
Who's next? Let's choose.
Hit the 500s.
Let's go, bub. Ready. Fight! Let's go. Marvelous!
Hit some buy side up there, and also hit a lot of sellers. It's all landmark that we just hit. 22.5.
Cyclone kick. Drill claw. Optic blast. Behold, optic blast. Deep splice.
Ow.
I did it.
Let's go see what is in the contracts here. 56 buyers, 46 buyers, so they turned to some sellers into buyers there, and 62 seller entered at 499. Let's go see what ES was doing. Just in the ladder.
Ready. Fight. soldier.
Good work, soldier.
Freedom prevails. Thumbs up, soldier. Thumbs up, soldier. Ready. Fight. Stars and stripes. Shield. Stars and stripes. Shield slash. Shield slash. Shield slash. Omega strike. Web ball. Web ball. Omega strike. Web swing. Danger. Web ball. Final adjustment. Danger. Charging star. Charging star. Omega strike. Shield slash. Star Omega ram. I leave to destroy the weapon X. Continue. Choose your alter ego. Let's go. Ready. Fight. Omega strike. Omega strike. Omega strike. Let's go. Let's go.
Yo, what's up? Hit all-time highs with that 22.5 hit. Oh my god. So real. It's nothing but the realest of reals. What happened?
I leave to destroy the weapon X. Continue. Except 0. Game over.
Survey says, continuing up. No volume, no volatility. Hard to trade today. I mean, still a lot of time left in the day. There was 80. A lot of time left in the day. Doodly doodly. It just keeps going and hitting the buy side and keep going up. Yeah, I'm watching NQ. Does. Now it is 78 points above the previous high. Just monitoring how far it likes to go above the previous high. There's like Powell speaking again tonight, I guess, or for you guys morning. 30 minutes after open. I don't even know if he said it. Say what? It's just talking in circles. He's a circle talker. If it goes up, it goes up. And if it goes down, if it goes down. And then when it does go down, we want it to go up. And with the stability, and if the instability in the Middle East comes to pass, then we will focus on our fiduciary responsibilities to the economic conundrums that we place ourselves in. Acceptance above 500s. You created another imbalance there at the push up. So for 3, it's creating a node over in this region, a volume trading node. For what? too much sense. Where is this going? Let me see. Hold on. What? Why do I have a USD marker here? That doesn't make any sense. How do I get rid of that? That is true on many levels. Well, on so many levels, I mean, it is kind of true. Like at a fundamental level, the quantum phone collapses into particles from probabilities, right? And then those particles interact and define their own boundaries by through that interaction and exchange of information. So like there's a communication happening on a level there and an awareness of boundary and other and all that stuff. So it's all kind of you know, as above so below stuff, you know. It's esoteric, like even yeah, the let's see what uh everything has to uh gestate and suck on something. I don't know. We got to incubate and feed on something. What are we hitting up here? Let's see. Nothing. Still no volume. Just drifting. Two. Mm-hmm. The hourly closed. So that closed slightly better than it opened. Okay. And the last 3 hours are like three white soldiers or whatever. But not super strong necessarily, but still bullish. Did they say anything in the testimony yesterday? Did anybody watch that or get the abridged version? Yeah, they Powell Gab talk. Lots of leading questions. Lots of Powell will not commit. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm finally feeling a little bit better than less of that cough. That was annoying. Yeah, that was annoying. I was also overexerting myself. I didn't like take a rest day on working out either, so I was working out while I was sick. Yeah, it's like I was like, I'm not gonna succumb to this. I'm going to pump you up. Back in my day, we had to lift cars for fun. But that's funny. You gotta make do with what you got. Right. With like mosquitoes inside. Really? Oh, because it's not property. It's not considered property or something, or like house or something. Mm-mm. That's hilarious. He's like turning it or like manually trying to peel back the wall. That's cool. It's one of those things like when you get on that like fitness track, it like ramps itself up by the sheer nature of you doing it, you know? Yeah, kids are mean in the States for sure. I I got bullied every day for like a year in junior high school. But I lived across the street from the school, so I left a chain in the door to leave it unlocked. And then I went in after hours, and then I found the bully's name in the library, and I checked out a bunch of books in his name and hid them. So when everyone got their yearbooks, he couldn't get his because he had dues to pay. And he's like, but I didn't have those books. And I'm like, here, bitch. And then I would like put dog poop on his locker after hours. So in the morning when he opens his locker, I know he's like touching dog poop. I had that was the only way I could get my revenge because he was like bigger than me at the time. I was like, it was the only way to not go insane. Oh damn. Damn. And then flick. Yeah, you do this. Here, I'll post the meme. You can go like, where is it? Hold up. Here. So we filled those two volume imbalances. We kind of sputtered up here. Like, are we gonna go back and hit the value area high at least? Touch the previous high for support or something? Is it gonna just keep drifting to the new highs? We got 12 minutes till the open. Yeah, you had like in junior high school, you had to like prove yourself. Like there was one boy in homeroom who like he said, um, he was like, "Well, I didn't even bother him. I was just keeping to myself." And then they were taking attendance in homeroom, and then he just kept talking to everyone like, "Yeah, I could beat Daniel in a fight, don't you think? I could beat Daniel in a fight. What do you think? You think I would beat Daniel in a fight?" And then like the bell rings and we go to first period, and we had the same class together for whatever reason. And as we're walking in the hall, he's asking everyone in the hallway, "Yeah, I could beat Daniel in a fight." And I'm like, "What is this guy's problem?" And then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, most definitely. Oh yeah, most definitely." And then like when the class started, the teacher had to go make photocopies and gave us busy work. So I just got up out of my chair and just like punched him 3 times in the face. And I was like, "I thought you said you could beat me in a fight. Let's go." And then he's like crying and running around the teacher's desk. And then I hit him again. And I was like, "Shut up." And then by the time the teacher came back, it was dead silent and he was crying at his desk. And then the teacher was like, "What happened?" And then nobody, I was expecting to get suspended or something, but nobody said anything. And I was like, "Wait, what? Is there like such a thing as justice?" Like, wow. And then, like, yeah, it got around that. That was like the first year in school. So nobody bothered me for like a year or two after that. And then I had the bully in my last year. But yeah, junior high school was like one of the you kind of are like whining, like what's wrong, man? Come on. Yeah, he was like trying to rationalize with me, but I was like, I thought you said you wanted to fight, so let's go. Yeah, that was look right. Ironically, in high school, I became friends with him, and he like you know he didn't claim to remember so much about it. I was like, really? Hmm, I remember everything. convenient that you forgot. But I didn't like rub his nose in it or anything. It was like it's a different world when you're in junior high school, obviously. Like nobody knows, like the skaters. I wanted to be a skateboarder, and the skaters wouldn't let me in their cool kids group. So I had to skate by myself. There was a few cool kids, but yeah. 8 minutes. Thankfully, it was like before social media and all like other weird stuff with like school shootings and stuff. So I didn't have any weird ideas, but I did hate that bully so much. I would like ride my skateboard past his house, hoping he would come out so I could hit him with my skateboard. Like I had these messed up fantasies about beating his ass with the, you know, through a pulp or something. Right. Right. Yeah, for me, it's like you look back, it's like a movie where it's like you went and checked out books in his name. It's like, ooh, you know, right. Oh yeah, yeah, like the one where you get like 10, buy one, get 10 free or whatever, or get 10 free and then get a subscription and cancel it. That was how I got some of my first CDs. Tell me what I want, what I really, really want. I wanna. I can't imagine Yeah, you're like, if you want to be my lover, and you're like, yeah, yeah, of course. There was something about that boomer time, like the parents, like that generation. I was talking with my friend about it because, you had the console wars and you had all these different games coming out, but only that could have only been at that time because all the boomers had the disposable income for their kids to buy that stuff. Because now you have like Switch for like 8 years or whatever before Switch 2, but back then every like 2 years you were like PlayStation. Like you had like Sega Saturn, and then it was like PlayStation 2, Dreamcast. It was like they were N64, GameCube, like they were all within a span of like 8 years. So it's like, like looking back, you're like, how did everyone afford like $300 consoles? Like, but we did because our parents were generally like, had that. There's that booming economy, the bubble of the boomers. Almost showtime, 2 minutes plus. Had a little jitter there a moment ago for 225 sellers exiting out prior to the open. Normally the 5 minute before thing. You'll watch the algos turn off on ES soon. All the cloud of orders will disappear. I haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? I'm streaming on YouTube, right? But I'm blocking the Discord uh, voice, of course. But I have it, a YouTube going, right? If you want to look at it, if I don't know if you have real estate to watch it, but gotcha. Ah, I see. I'm trying to do it for myself as too, because I can also like go back and contextually see what I was seeing in the moment to take the trade. Like it's documentation, you know what I mean? Less than a minute. We're open. And we're off to see the wizard. 89 buyer entered at 499. Comes back on 499. Could still strength. gonna circle that 89 lot guy. Let's just see how they hold up. It's basically 500. 500 is a psychological point. Got the news after 30 minutes after the open. Came back to that 500 level. We got those volume imbalances down at 75-ish, and that on the way up. I don't know. Are we just gonna keep drifting to new highs? Is ES gonna start dragging it down? That is the question. NQ swept all of the resting orders. Next one up at 550. 52 contracts at 550. Somebody trying to sell out up here. Zoom in a little bit. Another 68 buyer entered at 520. $78 buyer at 525. 80. They're adding 85. 89. 90. when we took 500 and something in buy side with this push up to 35. Could see some buyer absorption if it goes below 525 with acceleration. But the buyers are in control as of this moment. They must have some GEX levels they're aiming at above. You're in uncharted territory. Oh, my microphone's fucked again. Hold up. Does that so weird? Thanks for pointing that out. Ever since Wave XLR updated, it's in April, it's been messed up like that. Yes, really got a hot heat map. A 70 seller entered at 5:30. turning to 117 seller. Either hitting a trailing stop or a short entering contextually doesn't matter as long as it's used as fuel as a delta slingshot and or aggression, but it's bouncing off of it, so the buyer's still in control until they're not. $530, 121 seller, and the 120 buyer at 525. Hit about 3K in buy side for the session. Nice. Congrats. That's cool. $79 up at 50, about to get swiped. Unless that's like a perceptual wall. Have a good one, man. Do we come? This is just like a solid drift to the upside. It's like a long and chill day, seems. I'm expecting some sort of pullback that's never happening. That pullback into those 121 sellers at 530 could have been just it, but trying to reprice into new highs. Again, you have these inflection points, 530, 121 sellers, 120 buyer at 525, 68 buyer at 520. So this region will determine what the narrative is. Got the news in 15. Coming to that 530 seller, there was not so much in that pullback there of sell side, which is promising for sellers taking over a little bit. Just come back to a 1K volume imbalance on the tick chart, which also coincides with that 525 buyer. If the buyer absorption idea is true, then they'll fall beneath 525 and the 520 character. If not, this will be defended. All if-then statements to avoid bias. Algorithmic jitters. Hitting some sellers at 525 and moving below that. Hit about 110 in sell side at 525. It's equating to that buyer at 525 from the pop up. In total, in the last 4K trades, you're negative 400 in sell side aggression. So the seller's starting to poke their nose out. Now coming below the first inflection point of 520. Just hit about 300 in sell side with that aggressive pop down to the 510s. Boom. Took another 300 with that pop down. It's pretty aggressive. 9 minutes until the hourly close. So far came back on 1,000 in sell side. volume point of control at 500. Came below it. There's the volume imbalance from the way up at 477. Seven minutes until close. Some seller interest entering at 508 and 506 with no follow through. Previously hit about 1,000 in sell side. Could be a delta slingshot to the upside. Depends whether they're gonna continue rewarding the sellers or not. Came back to that 525 seller guy. Retest. coming above him. Sellers losing control. Turning into buy side. 210 buy side absorption. Getting some volume imbalances on the 1,000 tick on that push up. Close in 3 minutes. And 2 minutes till the hourly close. Generating more sell side with no follow through. 167 in this push down here. Sellers looking to be absorbed until they're not. Some algos kind of turned off on ES for the news at 11. It's kind of slowing down on ES. You can see the cloud of orders in the order book chilling out for the news. We just got the hourly close. Coming back to the volume imbalance that it created on the push up there. Pretty jittery. Pulling back on 270 in sell side with this push down here. The first sellers that got initially punished at 508 and again 494 needs to go below that for them to be rewarded. Otherwise, more punishment underway for the sellers. Another seller just entered 861 contracts strong, and then it went at 512, and now it's accelerating into their entry. So the sellers giving a little telegraph that they're stepping up here. Does it follow through down to the volume imbalance at 475 for a C wave to the downside? That is the question. Or is it a big old delta slingshot? It's quite aggressive. Hitting another 338 in sell side with that push down there. 500 in total from the pullback at 526. I'll be honest, I want it to go down, so. But I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible in my analysis here. It's going below the last seller pool at 494, so the sellers are expressing themselves. There's a lot of sellers entering as we enter this level, though, so it's not really following through. $79 buyer at 512. That's most likely sellers getting popped. More aggressive sellers entered at 505, 75 and 47 and 38. Will it sweep the lows of this internal area? You got more down below than above, but that could be defense. Creating a double bottom or what? We got settlement way down at 412, and yeah, we just didn't even bother touching Asia or London. So at some point, a pullback is what I'm thinking of, but what do I know? Another 66 and sell side hit at 72, hit at 499, and then cumulatively in this region like 150 and sell side at the 500s. Starting to pick up steam, maybe. Break that internal low. Maybe. It's not a chop. You have this internal range in here at 480 on Bookmap. It just is thicker to sweep that than go back up. So that's why I'm thinking of it going to sweep the lows. And so far it's rewarding these sellers, but it's playing games first. Swept that 84 and then it came back below. ES, what is ES? Ooh, nice sweep. Nice sweep to VWAP at 481. Here for it. $67 seller got swept at 46. we came back on basically all 3K of the buyer side aggression now. We're almost at break even on the session for aggression. So they immediately swept up that orders that I was talking about. So that was nice to see the narrative be true for that. Still didn't sweep up that volume imbalance, so 470s. Come on. 475. Boom. All right. So I feel comfortable. I took like a loss, so I didn't want to show my like negative trade until it was positive, but now I'm up 190 ticks on the runner. I'll just let the runner do its thing at break even or slightly in profit. Hold up. Buy, stop, limit, dunk. And let's move it into profit a little bit, 48 ticks. And let's aim at a target now. So we hit that one, we went right through that volume imbalance. And then essentially, now below VWAP, we swept all the liquidity up. So seeing a little bit of a bounce would not make unrealistic sense. It could make sense here, but I'm going to lock in another, move it to 84 ticks on the second Renko candle on the big chart. Now we're break even on the session for aggression. What's up, Jonesy? If we can get some of the viewers up, I want to give out another free eval if possible. Just comment on yesterday's video to enter. We need 3 more people. If you're not watching, hop on in. So it swept all that resting order. You see all those resting orders below? That's what I was targeting. I wanted it to sweep that because there was less above than below. So more below equals more gravitation. Theoretically, you know, it was playing some jitter games here. Like it went below, came back above, went below. But all these seller pools were starting to get rewarded. So it was giving me more confidence to stay in. So I just held true, aimed at that volume imbalance and got it. It was touch and go for a minute. I was like negative 50 ticks at one point. Now hitting some buy side, 250 buy side, 80 and 58. Is this going to be buyer absorption for more fuel to the downside, or is this the buyers coming to attack? Large amount in very little move up means like absorption potential for the downside continuation. I don't know. Either way, my stop is just shy of 500. So it could stop me out at the volume point of control. Yep, stopped. Well, a win is a win is a win. What's up? Buyer absorption potential at 481, going beneath that it popped up on 600 buyers. So it swept the late shorters and myself included on the runner, and then just continued on its merry way to the downside. So we essentially came 122 points above the previous all-time high. And now we're just chilling above that. The daily open was at the all-time high from December. And then we pushed up 122 points from the all-time high. Are we going to maintain all-time highs or come back below and test for support? It's pretty jittery to the downside. No real strong thing. You go down like 60 points, then go up like 40, 50 points, and then go down another 67 points. Much stronger moves to the upside today. Counter trend is not always the best play. So getting some buyers step up here, 59, now coming above that 482 buyer. So the buyer's starting to express a little bit of gusto. Again, we came back break even on the session for Delta, so all 3K of the buyer aggression was taken back. But essentially above a range. I'm basically done for the day. Could have had more, but could have had less. Came back to the middle of this gap. So we had like a gap here on the hourly. And we wicked off of the midpoint of that gap and held it. So for now, it's slightly bullish on the hourly. If it can close the hourly above that gap, that's like your fair value gap test, retest zone. Okay, with it coming beneath the 481s, potential buyer absorption. ES has more resting liquidity to the downside. NQ as well, so another burp to the downside would be reasonable to expect. And here we go. Burp, burp, burp. ES still hasn't swept it. VWAP for ES down at 6140. Between here and then, you have a lot of orders chilling. NQ took some of that resting liquidity, the remainder down at 450. That could have been all she wrote. You did grab 323 in sell side there. Now grabbing a bunch of buy side. If we can get up to 10 viewers, that would be nice. Go ahead, let's check what yesterday's comments are looking like. If we can get 10, we can get another eval to you guys. One, two, three, four, five. So we got 5. Five more comments and 5 more viewers. Starting to see the bid-ask ratio dissipate here, so there's getting a little bit of indecision on the buyers and the sellers around this zone. Good day to trade. I mean, you had decision like you had hitting all-time highs. I was trying to play counter trend. I did eventually get it, but I got one mistake first, and then I made it back. And yeah, it can always be a good day to trade as long as you have good parameters for when you take the trade. It's all about your parameters and mindset. These things. The analysis is the least of the worries. So it's like pulling back on 323 in sell side, pulling up on 391 in buy side, pulling back on 212 in sell side. So it's just hitting sell side, hitting buy side, hitting sell side, hitting buy side. It's just idiot boxing essentially. At the turn halfway point of the hour, yeah, still only 5. It was a little bit jukey today, like janky or like, you had sell side get punished. And then it started to reward the sellers and then say psych and then actually reward the sellers. So, the initial read, we had a good read up in here when it started to come back at 525 where like the sellers could get rewarded with follow through. And that's where we started to make our money back. And then it didn't follow through and then bounce back up to that 525 guy. But yeah, all these inflection points, these big characters expressed who was thinking it was going where, and then when they started getting rewarded, what side to be on. And so right about there was where we were starting to think to go short at 525. And then boom, it went down, and then it bounced back up for a bearish retest and or sweep, and then continued to the downside there. So if you had taken that theory at 525 all the way down to 468, that would have been the play for today for me. Now it's kind of telegraphing both sides. Well, people get back in and or close out their shorts. And you have that Fed meeting. On that note, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I got an early meeting tomorrow morning that I'm supposed to conduct, so I will catch you guys tomorrow. So